Good morning, everyone. This is a class about effects of high altitude on your respiratory system. What happens when person ascends to higher altitudes? So when we are discussing this, I am talking about two conditions. When a person climbs the mountain, right? Normally, when a person climbs the mountain away from the sea level, or else he is flying in an aeroplane which is depressurized. It is, decompressed. No extra modification in the pressure. Open aeroplane. Right? Previously, old aeroplanes. Climbing the mountain or else going towards the sky in open aeroplane. So what happens at the sea level, that is 0 feet above sea level, the barometric pressure is 1 atmosphere, that is 760 millimeters. At that, the partial pressure of oxygen in dry air is 159 millimeters because 21% of the total air is oxygen. So out of 760, 159 is exerted by the oxygen. So the alveolar partial pressure of oxygen is 104. And oxygen saturation in the arterial blood after gas exchange is 97%. Now, when a person ascends to higher altitudes, what happens to the barometric pressure? It decreases. When you go above the ground level towards the sky, the barometric pressure, total pressure decreases from 760 below downwards. So the partial pressure of oxygen in the air decreases. See, the gas composition of air is same. It is made up of 21% oxygen, 75% nitrogen, and remaining rest over net gas. But percentage of gas is same. But as total pressure decreases, even the pressures shared by the gases decreases. So partial pressure of oxygen in the alveoli is 67. So exchange of gases decreases, right? Pulmonary capillary is taking a blood at 40 mm and only 67 is present in the alveoli. Hardly the arterial partial pressure will reach 77 like that. So at that oxygen saturation will be around 90. As the height increases from 10,000 to 20,000 feet, still partial barometric pressure decreases, partial pressure of oxygen decreases, further it falls to 40. If you remember the hemoglobin dissociation curve, at 40, 75% or 73% of hemoglobin is saturated to 73. So as the height increases, that means altitude increases, person is climbing mountains or going in open aeroplane, the total barometric pressure decreases, partial pressure of oxygen decreases, that means oxygen content of the air decreases, partial pressure of oxygen in the alveoli decreases, blood saturation decreases, and it falls to very critically low values. So up to 30,000 feet, no one can go and survive. What about if a person breathes pure oxygen? So that means at a barometric pressure, he is breathing pure oxygen. So the alveolar PO2 will be 763 because it will mix with the dead space air and all. You don't go there. 763. When it's breathing pure oxygen, still when altitude increases, the pressure decreases. At the same time, the pressure decreases here also. But still, the alveolar PO2 can be maintained up to the 30,000 height. But when further height increases above 30,000 feet, even though he is breathing pure oxygen, because of the fall in the partial pressure and also fall in the barometric pressure, again alveolar pressure will drop, reducing the oxygen saturation. So as the altitude increases and person is breathing pure air, because of the fall in the barometric pressure, the arterial oxygen content decreases, especially when he crosses about 20,000 feet. It will fall way below 50% of the normal oxygen saturation. But with breathing pure oxygen, this can be delayed, but still as the altitude increases more than 35,000 feet, further oxygen saturation decreases. This is the because of reduced partial pressures in the alveoli, which is responsible for gas exchange. But with breathing pure oxygen, this can be delayed. Which can be delayed? Hypoxic hypoxia. What we are dealing here? Hypoxic hypoxia. So the moment person crosses 12,000 feet, we will develop hypoxic hypoxia futures. So what is acclimatization? This is nothing but adaptation of our body to this higher altitude levels, lower partial pressures of oxygen at the higher altitude levels. So if a person has to acclimatize to higher altitude, he should not rapidly ascend to that higher altitude. If there is a rapid ascent, what happens? Because of the rapid fall, the person will undergo hypoxia. So he should ascend slowly and stay at that altitude for few days so that his body will acclimatize, adapt to that low oxygen partial pressures. What are the various mechanisms? First thing is increase in ventilation. This increases the alveolar ventilation. More air will move in and out of the alveoli. Increase in RBC count so that oxygen carrying capacity of the blood increases, and also increase in hemoglobin content. Increase in diffusing capacity of the lungs. Hypoxia is an important stimulus for your erythropoietin secretion. Okay, and the subject is the person undergoes hypoxia, is more and more erythropoietin will be secreted, more and more RBC will be secreted, leading to polycythemia. Hypoxia is an important stimulus. Diffusing capacity of lung increases. New blood vessels will increase to the peripheral tissues, neovascularity, and ability of the cell to utilize oxygen. That means the oxidative enzymes, the mitochondrial enzymes, and the cellular oxidative capacity also. These are the various mechanisms by which person will acclimatize. This happens when person ascends slowly and stay at different altitude levels and over a period of days. This will not increase within few hours. The only thing that can increase within few hours is pulmonary ventilation. Because of low oxygen tension, peripheral chemoreceptors will be stimulated, increasing the ventilation. But that will not be sufficient. So that's why slow ascent and staying for that different heights is very important for allowing our body to acclimatize, adapt. So compared to the sea level beings, you can see the oxygen saturation values of the people who stays at mountain dwellers. This difference is mainly because of the acclimatization changes. What happens when a person suddenly goes to the mountain tops? They will develop mountain sickness. Up to 12,000 feet, it is okay. Most of our mountains are less than that range. So your body will increase the rate of ventilation simply and will increase the airflow. But when you go to bigger mountains, taller mountains like Everest, which is around 33,000 feet, you cannot go with simple, air supply. You have to take oxygen cylinders. So whatever the largest mountain peak, you can still sustain with your oxygen cylinder, but still person may develop mountain sickness at that higher altitudes. So to combat this higher altitudes, that's why your airplanes, which will be flying at 18,000 feet, will have the pressurized cabins where the pressure inside the aeroplane is always maintained at the barometric pressure. So that's why whenever there is hole in aeroplane, what happens? You might have seen in movies or in your games. Whenever aeroplane something happens, damage to the aeroplane, structure, immediately there is much loss of air from the cabin. That is because of the pressure. The aeroplane cabin will be at the high pressure. So when there is damage, there will be depressurization, decompression of that airplane cabin. So that's why, so normal, will not feel anything much difficulty, breathing difficulty when you are going in a pressurized cabin airplane. So person who goes to higher altitude will develop mountain sickness, acute and chronic. Whatever might be the mountain sickness, the first affected part is the brain. Brain will be easily subjected to hypoxic changes. So to compensate that, what brain will do is causes vasodilatation of the cerebral vessels. Normally, it is auto-regulated. Okay, blood pressure is auto-regulated, but in hypoxic condition, cerebral vasodilatation occurs. So more transudation of fluid occurs from the blood vessels of brain into the brain tissue, causing edema of the brain. If the ascent to the altitude is high and person is not adapting, cerebral edema is so severe that the brain may herniate through the tentorium. And what happens because of the reduced alveolar partial pressure of oxygen? I told you, alveolar partial pressure of oxygen is a potent stimulus for pulmonary vasoconstriction. Pulmonary vasoconstriction occurs, vascular resistance increases, pulmonary hypertension occurs. In pulmonary hypertension, secondary to it, what happens? Fluid comes from the pulmonary circulation into the pulmonary interstitium, causing pulmonary edema. So both acute and chronic mountain sickness, the worrying parameters are being cerebral edema and pulmonary edema. Acute mountain sickness develops within hours. Chronic mountain sickness develops within days. This acute will be converted to chronic, and it stays for 4 to 8 days, mainly because of the affection of the brain, headache, irritability, insomnia, breathlessness, with nausea, vomiting occurs. So treatment being reduce the altitude, go to lower altitude, slowly adapt and go back, or else reduce, come to the lower altitude, breathe 100% oxygen, and also acetazolamide diuretics. They also help in the mountain sickness. Okay, diuretics especially reduce your blood volume and all. So these are the potassium sparing diuretics. They also help in the acute mountain sickness. So worrying side effects being the cerebral and pulmonary edema. Okay. Thank you.